Okay, let's look at a better way to configure our nav section and then also look at some pseudo classes that we can use with our anchor tags. So the first thing that we need to kind of be aware of is when we're coding our nav elements, especially if we want them to be vertical, it's better to code them as an unordered list. And then we can just more accurately and precisely modify the CSS. So if we're coding as an unordered list, we probably don't want those little dots and dashes, right? We don't want the little dot, the bullet point. So we can change the list style property. The list style property has tons and tons of potential values. Here are just a few. You could even make your unordered list look like an ordered list. Some Japanese characters, lowercase I, blah, blah, blah. But look down here. There is nothing here. That's because they used list style type none. We will use list style type none to remove the bulleted item in front of our unordered lists in our nav section. Okay, so while we're here and talking about this, not necessarily for our nav section, but while you're thinking about other lists, you can use images for your list. So if you did a list style image URL and then a small image, you would not want it large, you can actually have images for your bullets instead. Okay, so also while we're here, we want to look at pseudo classes. Pseudo classes are ways that we can have our links appear in different ways. And you're used to seeing this when I move over these words, they change. This is what's highlighted and it's changed. So there's a way that we can do that with pseudo classes. Our pseudo classes are :link, :visited, :hover, and :active. They must be coded in this order. There's also a :focus, and it would go right here in the middle, but we just don't really use it a lot. Okay, so let's look at these examples. If I move over the link, it changes to hot pink because they have a :hover changed to a color of hot pink. If I click on this link, let's go back, now it's green. It was red because it was unvisited, but now that I have been there, it is green. Okay, so an unvisited link was red. Now the visited link is green. And right when I click, do you see how it turned blue? That's the active, active, that makes it turn that way. Okay? So in this tutorial, we're going to work with all of those. Let's open HP 6-4 in code, and there's a page in there called index. And if you view it in the browser, this is what we have so far. So we want to change this navigation structure to be a nav. We're going to display it vertically, remove the little bulleted list, and then we're going to apply some pseudo classes. Oh, one more thing. If I didn't tell you this before, it is very important that you put these in order. Okay, so an A hover must come after an A link. So if you, I'm sorry, an A hover must come after A link. So if you have both of these, just know the order. In order for them to be effective, it has to be link, visited, focus, hover, active. You don't have to include all of them, but if you include more than one, they should be in that order. Okay? All right, let's go back to index. And the first thing we want to do is find the nav section, and we're going to code it as an unordered list. Right now is not an unordered list, so we need to add a UL tag, and we need to move this closing UL tag to before our nav closes, okay? Because the nav opens first, it closes last, okay? Think of it as these nesting dolls almost, okay? Now each anchor needs to be enclosed in LI tags. So we'll have an opening LI tag in front of our opening anchor and a closing LI at the end of our anchor. Yay, through the magic of iMovie, I have saved you some time. You didn't have to watch me type all that. So copy that over, make sure it looks very similar to this, and if we load it in the browser, see we have these little dots there, and that is not what we want. So let's go modify our CSS. We have some embedded CSS up here. We're just going to add some to it. So The first thing we're going to do is remove our list style types. And we want to target that more specifically by going to the nav section, UL. So remember, this is called a descendant selector. We're finding our nav sections, and only our unordered lists within the nav section will we apply these rules to. We're going to do list style type none. We're going to set our margin left to 0 and set a padding of 10 pixels. All right, let's look at it in the browser, and it did remove those little bulleted lists, little bullets. Okay, now we want to remove that underline. So let's continue in our embedded CSS, and we want to target only the anchors that are within the nav section. So to do that, we do nav A. And to remove the underline, it is text decoration none. That removes the underline that automatically appears for a text hyperlink. Let's set our padding to 10 pixels. That'll give us a little extra space around our text. And our font weight to bold. All right, let's do Alt B. And now we have larger text. Now let's look at our pseudo-classes. When you are typing pseudo-classes, we want to address only the anchors in the nav section. So we're going to do nav A, and you do :link with no spaces. Notice there's no spacing, and that is a colon, not a semicolon. And we're only using 3, a link, visited, and hover, so we are typing them in order, starting with link. And see, I tried to put a space in there because I always think after my finger almost does it automatically. It wants to put a space after a colon because we're so used to doing it with our properties. But they will not work if they have a space in there. Okay, let's refresh our browser and take a look at what we have. And now if we hover over them, they are changing. We have been to home, so it's white. It's a visited page, but the other ones change color as we hover over them. Man, if I were teaching you guys in class, I know you would have caught my mistake. Did you find it? Yes, indeed. I left out the hashtag in front of link, the link color. So add your hashtag back. I knew it looked a little funny when I was looking at it, but now it looks like this, and when we hover, it's that blue color. Okay, so make sure you correct that in your code. Whoopsie.